don't judge my English, okay? So I'm speaking in front of English department and a community from Humanities and Social Sciences. So I'm a bit nervous. But anyway, so welcome to all the delegates, and I congratulate the department for having taken up this task. And the department has been doing extremely well in spite of having maybe it's at a very low level compared to what the level of discussion or the deliberations will be happening here. I think in future, are we going to lose the
Professor Madhavi and all the dignitaries, the head table, other professors from various universities and institutes, friends. Conferences are always exciting. When I get an invitation to a conference, IETFL conference, and that was a wonderful opportunity for me to meet people from all over the world. Some people after 12 years. And from India, I met some of my friends after many years. I have traveled to India many times, but I didn't meet most of those friends, and I met them at Brighton. So conferences, apart from their academic value, a conference means a social event where you meet your friends and your network gets expanded. Networking is considered as one of the top 21st century skills by professionals. So when your network is huge, you become the power of being connected. The conferences provide that opportunity. In that sense, I want to congratulate the Department of Humanities and English, Social Sciences at NIT Warangal for organizing this conference, because as your director and director in charge, Professor Vinod, mentioned, we have arrived at a time where humanities is no longer a support discipline. It is one of the major disciplines in all the areas, because especially when it comes to language teaching, English language teaching. In South Asia, we can't avoid the responsibility we have, because English language has been here in this part of the world for more than 200 years. And living side by side with all our languages which we consider with pride. Maybe Hindi, maybe Telugu, maybe my language is Sinhala, and we have Tamil, and we have so many languages in this part of the world. English has been living side by side with all these languages, making people empowered. So to empower, whatever the field of study you are in, maybe that is chemical engineering, maybe that is aeronautics, maybe that is biotechnology. Language is the most important instrument you have to excel in those areas, to communicate. Again, one of the 21st century skills we need is to be able to communicate effectively. For that we need language. Your subject knowledge comes to you with language. Your practical knowledge comes to you with language. Your ability to communicate comes to you with your language. So in that sense, language or humanities is, it is everywhere. It is everywhere in every discipline. So I'm very proud India, and particularly National Institute of Technology Warangal has been a leader of bringing humanities.
Of to give a shawl and a memento as a token of our institute's love and respect towards Professor Samaravera. Thank you so much, sir. Now I invite Professor B. Spurti, ma'am, to deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please. We also have a token of our love and appreciation for Professor Venuvinu, sir. I request Professor Samaravera to gift him as a token of our love, respect, and gratitude. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being patient all through. And I have this big job of thanking a lot of people now. So I'm Spurti, and I take this opportunity on behalf of the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, NIT Warangal, to everybody here, and most importantly, our director, Professor Vidyadhar Subhati sir, for giving us this opportunity, encouragement, and support all through this humongous task that we've taken up to organize the Pan-NIT conference for the second time. Pan-NIT HSSRC is the brainchild of Humanities and Social Sciences Department NIT. During COVID times, when everybody was organizing conferences, we wanted to bring every NIT together. And then we organized the first Pan-NIT online. It was a success. We had 24 NITs joining us then, and this time we're happy to rope in 2 more NITs. We are 26 plus the host institute, which is NIT Warangal. So 27 out of 31 NITs. So thank you all NITs for joining us. I also take this opportunity to thank our in-charge director, sir, Professor Venuvinu sir, for being with us today and encouraging us with his supporting words and presence. I take this opportunity to thank our chief guest, Professor Darshana sir. I've known sir from 2010-11, when I had the opportunity to meet him in EFLU Hyderabad. So thank you very much, sir, for traveling all the way through. We've been following you on social media. You've been traveling a lot and attending a lot of conferences. Thank you for being with us today and speaking with our audience and making it really personal, like Vidya said. Thank you. I also take this opportunity to thank our director, sir, who joined us online today and spoke with the audience and all of us. I'm sure director sir's words have actually kindled the spark in us to, go beyond language, go beyond literature, and, bridge the gap between technology and language learning. Thank you very much, sir. Again, the head of the department, the pillar, the spine, or the backbone of this entire research conclave, Professor Madhavi ma'am, for accepting the thought idea in 2021, following up with other NITs to continue the endeavor in 22-23, and bringing it back to the Home Institute in 20. Kanipnath, Dr. Ajish, and Dr. Shrikutti, and all the 27 scholars of our department. This would not have happened even if one of them would have not participated. It is absolutely, it makes us happy to have a team like this, and we call our scholars our kids, and we're very proud parents to have all of them. Thank you very much for all the support. I take this opportunity again to thank all the technical team members, the PRO of the Institute, and everybody who's involved. This endeavor, this process has begun 3 months ago, and everybody who's put in their work in the last 3 months, thank you very much for all the time, all the effort, and all the work. Most importantly, people who are joining us online, and all the participants here, thank you so much. This was overwhelming for us, 450 abstracts. It was difficult for us to, vet or go through them and, review them. You've been very patient, and thank you all the participants who've joined us today here. Thank you for your interest in the conference. Please stay interested in the next 3 days. We have planned a lot of things for you. I wish all of you best of luck for all your presentations, and thank you again from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, we have National Anthem, but I would like to remind you, after the National Anthem, before breaking for the high tea, I request all of you to come for a photograph. So now, we will raise for the National Anthem. Afterwards, we will have to come together for a photograph before breaking for high tea.
तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय हे
Now let's capture this moment. Let's freeze time through a photograph. Please, I request all of you to come forward. We are going outside. Okay, we'll go outside and stand. We'll take one photo. He will try here at once. Vishwanathan sir. I request all the delegates to come forward so that we could try to fit into a frame and show our togetherness.
inaugural session. We will now have the keynote and the first invited talk to be delivered by Dr. Darshana Samaravira, who is here with us. He's a Deputy Director General of the Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences at National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka. I take the pleasure of inviting Dr. Darshana Samaravira onto the dais. Sir, please. To capture the academic achievements and administrative achievements of Dr. Samaravira, he has a PhD from the Management and Science University, Malaysia in English language teaching. And he seemed to have worked on a quite innovative and contemporary topic, burnout of pre-service ESL teachers in Sri Lanka, mentoring as a means of managing burnout through self-efficacy. And he is known to have worked as a curriculum developer, researcher and administrator in various capacities. And then he's very good at networking and reaching out to people. Short span of time through my interaction with him last night and this morning, that he has got a very good sense of humor, a very good human being, known for his unassuming nature, and he's quite renowned to work on a unique topic on burnout aspects, especially in teachers. That is something which we have not ventured into. So we are indeed glad to have you with us, sir, on this forum. And now Dr. Samaravira is going to deliver a talk on choosing the right path at the crossroads, moving forward with technology to achieve success in language teaching. So now I request the speaker to take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for inviting me and for the introduction. As you have just listened to her, I'm going to speak on choosing the right path. That is, of course, linked to the theme of this conference, where you are talking about humanities reaching the crossroads and where we are moving ahead and how we are going to move ahead. Before that, let me start with a story. This will have a link to my speech later. A husband who loves his wife once made a call in the evening after his office and said, "Darling, don't worry about dinner. I will bring dinner from the second wife." He went home with a delicious dinner, rang the bell. That's all what he could remember. Later, when he was found conscious, there was a nurse telling him, "Be careful, there is a fracture on your shoulder." What is the second wife? He told, "I will bring dinner from second wife." Second wife is a restaurant in Hyderabad. The moment he said, "I will bring dinner from second wife," wife guessed it in some other way. She didn't know that there was a restaurant called Second Wife in Hyderabad. So, what I'm going to discuss today is something like wife not knowing that there is a restaurant called Second Wife, and she knows only the concept of husband having another affair with her. And please let me wear my spectacles, and something I do with a lot of reluctance, because that shows my age. That shows I'm aging and what to do. Right. So, during this talk, I will try to discuss a few things about artificial intelligence, and I don't know, this is a technology institute, National Institute of Technology, and trying to talk about artificial intelligence at a technology institute might be dangerous, but I will try my best to discuss certain things that we can understand the concept of artificial intelligence and its impact on us, how best we can use AI to facilitate our work, and then major misconceptions we have about artificial intelligence, the concept of artificial intelligence or AI literacy, and AI related policy at organizational levels. These are a few of the things, hot topics we have among the academics, not only in the field of computer science or ICT or AI experts, elsewhere as well, people discuss these things. Because within a very short period of time, we all have experienced the effect of artificial intelligence and other industry 4 technologies on our life. Artificial intelligence has invaded us. Again a story. Wife found her husband not being very loud when he's at home, and he's like murmuring. One day she found it really weird, and she asked, "Darling, what has happened to you? You don't speak louder as you used to do." Then he said, "Yes, because I think somebody is listening to me." Wife laughed and said, "Are you mad? There is nobody to listen to us, only you and I." Then Siri laughed and Alexa laughed. That's what has happened to us in the age of artificial intelligence. One day I went to the Parliament of Sri Lanka with a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and he gave me a lift to the Parliament. And on his vehicle, he has a dash cam. He has a dash cam, and it was really fascinating, and I asked a couple of questions about this dash cam, and I wanted to know whether he could remotely operate this and see what is happening around his vehicle. He said, "No, sir, I don't have that facility on this particular device, but you can buy such devices. They are in the market." We parked the vehicle, and of course outside, just opposite the Parliament, and we were waiting for the shuttle bus to pick us. And I started getting advertisements about dash cams that you can remotely control and where you can buy. Look, my mobile phone had been listening to me. Now he is listening to me. And it's easier because back in Sri Lanka, I speak my language very often. And now I'm speaking English, and this man is listening to me. And based on that, he's able to make decisions. That is because of artificial intelligence. We never expected, many of us who are here, when we were trained as teachers, when we started our vocation as teachers, we never expected a world of this nature. We are people who are trained to write our lesson plans, then to go through our lesson plans, go to the class with a huge bundle of teaching, learning materials, and to teach our students. But that world is gone, and now there is a world empowered by technology. So that's why we say humanities is at crossroads. We have reached a very important juncture of our lives where we have to decide what to do. When we are at crossroads, at Hyderabad, what is that famous place? ECI, RTC. Out at no crossroads? RTC crossroads where Babaji is. Yes, one of my favorite places. At crossroads, we have to decide where to move. To take the right road to reach the destination. So we have, humanities has reached, come to a juncture, crossroads, and now we have to decide because your director mentioned very clearly how he is going to consider humanities at NIT and everywhere in the world that has happened. So, let's try to understand this concept of AI and how it has changed our work, and some people look at it as an enemy. Some people look at this concept of AI as an enemy and we don't like it. Especially teachers at universities, colleges. When we give assignments, students come with fantastic responses, nice project reports, very good English. Even William Shakespeare cannot write that way. Recently, I do a little bit of teaching at universities, and I gave an assignment to a group of my MA students about materials development in Sri Lanka, how ELT materials development has evolved. Actually, it has not evolved. We are at the same good old place. Nothing has happened. But most of these people, they give me presentations where I feel that, my goodness, I'm not in Sri Lanka. I'm not in Sri Lanka. It has evolved a lot. I have been in this industry for the past 32 years and I haven't seen much of a change. But it says technology integration and all that. What has happened is they have got the support of ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will never say no to you. That is the good thing about ChatGPT. It will never say no to you. Right? It found what has happened in the rest of the world and thought that the same thing would have happened in Sri Lanka as well and gave something, and these people, they did a copy-paste job and presented it. So we teachers, we don't like that to happen. Right? That's why we consider artificial intelligence as an enemy that creates, that kills the creativity of our students, critical thinking, analytical thinking of our students. So we have to find a way out. When I told them, look friends, this man ChatGPT or AI is a better friend of mine than yours, and he told me that you got AI support for this. They became speechless and they said, yes sir, we did that. Just to steal some marks from me, they did that. So that's what has happened in the society because of AI recently. Now AI, right, has been there for a long time. Right? Before we start talking about the history of AI and other things, I want you to answer these questions. There are a few questions. Don't tell me the answers now. Just go through them and write your own answer so that you will reflect those answers at the end of the speech. is AI actually intelligent? Can AI think logically? Right. So let's move on. And AI, how long do you think AI, how old do you think AI is? AI is very old. History of AI goes back to 1940s and 50s, but the concept of thinking machines goes back to the Roman period. Even in the Roman period, they have spoken of the machines that can think, machines that can have intelligence. But in the modern world, we started talking about artificial intelligence or AI with the work of Alan Turing. Maybe you have heard of the Turing test. Right? He published a wonderful paper about the machines thinking logically. It goes back to 1950. It goes back to 1950. So AI is not a new concept. Trying to define the concept of AI, the IBM says, according to the IBM, right, the idea of machines with the ability to think like human beings. It goes back to Greek civilization, not only Roman, Greek civilization. That's what IBM says. And IBM defines it as the machines with the ability to think like human beings. This concept has been there for a long time, but on the 30th of November 2022, very recently, with the introduction of Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which we popularly identify as ChatGPT, it became a public property. It became a public property. These concepts like machine learning, deep learning, those were there. And finally, in 2022, November 30th, when they introduced ChatGPT, the entire world started talking about artificial intelligence. And entire world started fearing about artificial intelligence. And now we have gone up to a extreme where China, and in India, in Kerala, there is a teacher, AI-enabled robot, teaching in classes. And in China, they have invented a beautiful lady who can be charged, and when you charge, she will be alive for 72 hours, and she will speak many languages, and she will respond to you the way you like. So when I talk about this, I tell all my lady colleagues, be careful. If your husband is going to make a trip to China and he's taking a lot of money, be careful. He might buy one and bring home that robot, right? Because you charge your wife, and then for 72 hours, she'll go on talking to you, and when you are tired of her, you simply unplug and leave her somewhere else. But with your real wife, you can't do it. That's the extreme we have moved with these concepts, the new technologies, right? So there are numerous developments, and in the field of research, see the boost in research. The boost in research, right, since 2019, in computer science, there is an increase of 200% publications. and in physics 44%, mathematics 22%, and in other areas also we have started publishing heavily. So all backed by artificial intelligence and about artificial intelligence. But remember, from our part of the world, and especially from education, social sciences and humanities, the contribution is not that significant. So there is a vast opportunity for everybody, for people like us, to engage in research, to see how we can use artificial intelligence in our classrooms, like smart tutoring. To make our work easier. That will help keep our burnout level at a minimum level. That will not make us tired. And the other important thing about artificial intelligence, if we use it properly in our classrooms, is we can minimize the affective filter. Krashan, in his monitor model, he comes up with this idea of affective filter, right, where motivation goes down and nothing happens. Teacher keeps on teaching but nothing happens here. So if you bring new technology into the classroom, especially AI supported technology, you will be able to keep the motivation level up and the affective filter lowered for a considerable period of time. So however, now this is what has happened in the world with the emerging of artificial intelligence, right? So what are the different types of AI applications, or AI technologies and AI tools which we can use in our field, in language education, in education, to support our work? When we categorize these types, we have, I'm going to show you 6. The first one is intelligent tutoring systems. The first one is intelligent tutoring systems. This includes adaptive learning platforms and virtual learning systems. There are 2, adaptive learning systems and virtual learning systems. Right? They provide personalized learning opportunities. Personalized learning is one of the concepts we discuss in 21st century education. And they support students a lot, right? Like Duolingo and the chatbots, even ChatGPT, it's a chatbot. So they provide us with personalized learning experience. Now with the help of Duolingo, you can learn any number of languages. Recently, I started learning Italian with the help of Duolingo. And I'm planning to revisit my little exposure to Japanese as well in time to come. I started learning Japanese way back in somewhere around 1991, and I haven't forgotten what I learned. I want to revisit and progress from that point. And yes, in 2010 and 11, when I was here in Hyderabad, I picked up a little bit of Telugu. And yesterday, yes, when I met my friend Dr. Virnayak, I was telling him I can remember these words. I didn't tell any of the bad words I have learned from him. So I think with Duolingo I'll be able to learn Telugu as well. So you can learn any number of languages, and that is personalized. So they are called intelligent tutoring systems. And then we have technologies that provide support in assessment and feedback. assessment and feedback. So there are automated grading systems that can help you grade the essays of your students. Subjectivity is something that we struggle very much in our classes. Subjectivity, right? When it comes to marking essays, when we mark the assignments, we have these intelligent grading systems, right, which can help us grade or mark their essays, assignments, and we can get AI to provide feedback as well. Like now, Grammarly is one such. We use it extensively, many of us, right? We use Grammarly. Grammarly is one such assessment and feedback technique or tool we can use, right? And then we have formative assessment systems such as Kahoot. Formative assessment. Formative assessment is very, very important because that's where you make decisions. That's where you can help your students before it is too late. And in most of our systems, what happens is our students and teachers, they wait till the final examination, and once they fail, we understand, my goodness, we should have done better. We could have helped these poor guys, but we are too late. With formative assessment systems, of course, we can give them feedback and we can design remedial teaching. We can help them. And that is the most important thing, rewarding the learning process. So we can get the support of AI to do that. And then we have language processing systems, technologies, right? Or natural language processing tools like Google Translate. They are used to understand human language, and speech recognition tools. And there are tools that help us with our pronunciation. Again, Duolingo and other, there are many tools. I'm not going to name those because, then I'll be doing some kind of advertising job to the companies, because most of them are commercial ventures. Let's discuss that a little later. Then we have content creation and enhancement tools. One is content creation, the other one is content enhancement. With the help of these, we can create our content. If you know how to write your prompts, if you know how to work with AI, you can create content. You can create your own lesson plans. What you have to tell these tools is the nature of your clientele, the nature of your students, your learning outcomes, and how it should be presented. So with that, what you can do is you can create your content. And the second is existing content. You can enhance existing content. Right? These content enhancement tools, right? We have the Hemingway editor, and Grammarly is also one such. You can improve existing content. You can check grammar, you can check language, and you can make adjustments to language to suit the level of your students. Because it's you, the teacher, who knows the level of his or her students. So accordingly, we can make adjustments to our content, and those content enhancement tools help us a lot to make our work easier. And then we have classroom management and organization systems, mainly the learning management systems. Learning management systems. The most popular one is Moodle, because Moodle is free. Moodle is free and it's an open source. And then we have Blackboard. Yes, it's very expensive. Blackboard is very expensive. Moodle is free. So we can use these classroom management and organization systems when these systems are integrated with AI, right? We can help students manage their work. The teachers can manage their work. And, interaction is made possible. Interaction is made possible. And we can provide them with authentic learning experience. The last one is, now there are names, right, brand names mentioned here, just forget, right, like Classcraft. You have to buy them. I'm not promoting any of those, right, but there are tools, right. I will come to a point where we discuss how to manage that issue of purchasing these, right, because we know the use of artificial intelligence in a way can widen the gap between those who can afford to have them and those who cannot. The existing inequalities can be made worse. The world is not equal. So AI, and especially when we look at it with a commercial point of view, it's really difficult. Let's see how we can handle that as well. So the last one I want to highlight is data analytics and tools that provide insight. Based on the data given, now when these language, especially learning management systems are used, right, we can embed tools into those to understand data and make decisions about student performance, and then to based on analytics to make predictions, especially about the students at risk. Now what happens is, most of the times we forget them. That is natural. Now that's what happened to Ishan Avasti in Tare Zameen Par. Many of his teachers neglected him. They couldn't identify him. They couldn't understand this child until he met this fantastic teacher who could understand him. But with the help of AI, we will be able to understand the children at risk. Before it is too late, we can help them, right? Because we don't have to do that. AI will, based on the data, will analyze such data and will tell us, look, this child is at risk. You have to do something. And this is what you can do as well. AI will provide us support as well. But remember, that is if we are intelligent enough to handle AI. Right? Now, I'm coming to the questions. What I did was, while getting ready for this talk, I asked these questions to myself first, and then I asked AI to answer these questions. Right? I asked him a question. Hi, will you be able to answer a couple of questions about AI? Then the chatbot told me, yes, please, feel free to ask anything. I will help you. Then I asked questions one by one. right? The first question I asked to ChatGPT and Copilot, two platforms, right? And this is the summary it gave me. Is AI actually intelligent? AI says, in summary, while AI systems can exhibit intelligent behavior in specific domains, they do not possess the general flexible intelligence characteristics of humans. Wow. ChatGPT, AI still recognizes that our intelligence is more dynamic and says flexible, right? General flexible intelligence characteristics of humans. And it says they are powerful tools built on mathematical models and large data sets capable of impressive feats but fundamentally different from human cognition. So the answer is human cognition is still more powerful. And what Copilot, another AI tool, gave me is, in summary, AI is not truly intelligent in the way humans are. Good that AI, doesn't have the soul. Right? Without feeling guilty, or if AI had the soul to think and to become intelligent, AI would not give this answer. Humans don't. Now, if you ask a question to a human being, would not give. That's why in research, most of these, measuring these latent variables is very, very difficult. You ask questions and you have a scale from totally agree to totally disagree. What we do is we think twice. In my PhD research, I used an internationally verified instrument, the Copenhagen burnout inventory, where there is one question, right? That question, my sample, majority of the people I asked these questions were ladies. There is one question which ladies would never give the honest answer. That is, do you have time after work? Do you have time for your family? In South Asia, South Asian women always say yes, even if they don't have, because they consider it their duty to say yes to such questions. That's culturally inappropriate. So I had to remove that from my questionnaire. But AI gave me the honest answer. So human supremacy is still accepted. Then the second question, can AI think logically? I asked this question only to ChatGPT. This says, while AI can perform logical reasoning tasks effectively within the confines of the rules and algorithms it operates under, it does not have the same understanding or intuition that humans do. AI accepts humans are still better, right? With the introduction of super AI, there is a concept called super AI. This might change. Still, we are better. We are better off, and we have to be happy. Our position is still secured, right? So AI lacks true consciousness and does not possess the holistic, context-aware reasoning capabilities of human cognition. Good. We can smile still. And does AI know everything? To this question, AI give me an answer. AI does not know everything in the way that humans do. And in summary, while AI systems can provide access to vast amounts of information and perform specific tasks with high accuracy, they do not have the same breadth or depth of knowledge as humans. AI has lavishly accepted that humans know, the way humans know things is different from the way AI knows. Right? See? Can you guess what this is? Yeah. Mother Teresa fighting against poverty. Yes, I found this on social media. Right, when AI was asked to draw a picture of Mother Teresa fighting against poverty, this is what AI generated. Mother Teresa is never a physical fighter. But and see here the way poverty is represented. These colored boys. And for AI, poverty is not something that you find among white people. That's how AI thinks. That's how AI generalizes things. Poverty means black. Poverty means colored. Now researchers have found that AI is very much biased, and AI still believes in white supremacy. That's because we have not done much, we have not given data. So when AI is asked to do something like this, that's what they do. And I actually did an experiment. I asked AI to create a picture of the poor. This is what it gave me. Yeah, can you accept that just because this boy with a nice smile, just because he sits on a roadside bench, he is poor? No. This is like the wife who thought second wife is a real second wife, right, when it is a restaurant. Right? And to reason out this, to tell me what he has thought, what AI has thought is okay, this is what AI gave me. With the picture, AI gave me a caption as well. I have created a compassionate portrayal of the poor, focusing on the theme of empathy and understanding. I hope it resonates with you and reflects the spirit of kindness and support that we should all extend to those in need. AI itself is not sure that this is a picture of a poor. Right? So, he gives me something, this is what is called hallucination. Then this one. Can I do research with the help of AI? What AI says is, overall, as I can streamline the research process, accelerate scientific discovery, and enable researchers to tackle complex problems more effectively. Right? All I can do is that. However, it is essential to recognize that AI is a tool and should be used in conjunction with human expertise and judgment to ensure the validity and reliability of research findings. That also is something we can do. So AI says, I can help you, but you need human touch in research. See what has happened when people think AI is the only solution. This is a publication by somebody. This is an actual publication. Right? See, results and discusses the performance of proposed methodology. As an AI language model, I don't have access to specific experimental results. Copy paste. Right? Having great faith in AI, thinking AI will never betray me, but AI has betrayed. This is an actual publication, something that a researcher has sent. And remember, this is in medical science. This is in the field of medical science. This researcher has sent this for publication. And it's AI generated and it's easy to find. This is another example. Of course, yes, peer review system must have been AI based. So, Right, this is also an example. Here it says, in summary, the management of whatever thing that is again medical science. I'm very sorry, but I don't have access to real-time information or patient-specific data. This again in the field of medical science. Trying to improve maybe research index, research interest index, right? In that competition, now we are looking for rating, ranking of the universities and personal ranking and rating of the researchers on ResearchGate. If your research interest score is very high, right, you think you are considered somebody. Right, with that, of course, when you try to be in the competition, this is what happens. Right, these are AI-backed research papers. So, be careful. We don't know, we do a cut and paste job, but in the middle, there may be evidence to show that you have done something wrong, right? So, how can I support my research with AI? That is the question. So, we can get the support, right? A, to save our time. How? Now, you can streamline the research process with the help of AI, right? And AI will tell me what to read. AI will tell me what to read. Otherwise, you have to go through all these databases, research databases, to find what to read. But if you ask AI to give you suggestions for reading good research papers, AI will help you. And then, right, a time bound, and the other thing is, the recent research published within the recent, within the past 10 years or 5 years, right? AI will give you a reading list and it will ease you of many sleepless nights. You can have some family time, you can have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, enjoy a movie, because AI will give you a reading list within a fraction of a second. And then data analysis using, if the university permits, right? And then for these, we should know how to write prompts, right? And the last question is, will AI steal my job in the future? AI says no. Overall, while AI may lead to job displacement in some sectors, it also has the potential to create new opportunities. What we need to do is knowing these new opportunities. When I attended the IETFL conference, I attended a very good presentation by George Pickering, and he says, AI will not steal your jobs, but somebody who knows how to use AI tools will steal your job. That's what's going to happen. Not that AI is going to steal your job, but somebody who knows how to use AI effectively will steal your job. So be careful. Right? So, this is Chomsky in 2023 talking about AI, right? And New York Times, March 8, 2023. Chomsky says, AI is an utter fool. And, this is the summary of this. Please find this. This appeared on social media recently. And according to Chomsky, AI is not intelligent. AI is just a plagiarism system, right? So, to handle this, what we have to have as teachers and students, and what we need to do with our students is to improve their AI literacy. There are research studies, right? This is a very recent research area, and in 2023, many people started doing AI literacy research, and they started producing models, right? There are a group of researchers. They presented a 3-factor model and then came a 4-factor model, right? After reading all those, what I understand is, this is what we need to know. We need to have the basic awareness of AI, what it is, and then ability to use tools and applications, critical understanding of AI technologies, ethical use of AI, and the last one is limited, that is not for people like us, that is for developers, ability to develop AI tools and applications, again within a framework of ethics, right? So, this is the last part of my talk. For all these things, we need policy related to AI. While governments need to engage in a kind of a huge exercise to come up with AI-related national policies, institutions and organizations also have to have policies. For example, what is the policy of the related to the use of AI and literacy of AI of National Institute of Technology, Warangal? Because that will help us, right? This organizational policy will ensure equity. That will ensure equity, right? Because these policies should have a very important concept within them, that is, nobody is left behind. No student is left behind, no teacher is left behind. There, of course, one of the very important things is to have an organizational policy related to the continuing professional development of teachers, staff regarding artificial intelligence, to make them literate about artificial intelligence. And for that, how much funds from our annual budget we are going to allocate? A, to empower our teachers. B, for purchasing of equipment and technology so that nobody is left behind, because we know marginalized students, even the teachers who cannot afford to have these technologies. That's why I didn't mention any of those names. Those big names means a lot of money. So that's what we need to have in a policy, and I hope what we can do is have organizational policies until the national policies come. Right? UNESCO is working on a policy, AI-related policy, that is to protect the rights of the children, because data privacy is a huge problem. UNESCO is doing a project and they are getting ready with their final draft, and I'm working with them as well to do that. So this is what we need to do. What is the AI-related policy in our organization, our department, our faculty, our school? That's what we have to think of. And these are my references. I will share my full paper with you, right, so that you can have a good look at it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The floor is now open for discussion. We'll take a few questions from the audience.
If I can't answer those questions, I will get AI to answer.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Raj Kiran. Sir, I'd like to just put all my questions together so that, for the paucity of the time. So first of all, we're talking about Google translations and pronunciation apps and so on. Isn't it dangerous to use these apps in the class? Because I've personally used Google Translation and it needs a lot of amends after we use it. Number one. Number two, pronunciation apps, Google as it is, gives us the US pronunciation, right? So talking about all this technicality and structurality in India, but we follow Daniel Jones for the pronunciation rather, right? So that's one of the question. And moreover, content creation and enhancement tool aspect of yours, what happens to the idea of creativity? As teachers of humanities and social sciences, I think our forte is the very concept of creativity. I mean, if online is being copiously used in, AI is copiously used in all these aspects, that's one question. And next question is, two questions together, pointing out Sugata Mitra's. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I will, yes, I'm a teacher, so it's okay. Your first question is the use of Google Translator. Yes, right, because when it comes to our local languages, of course, there's a lot of problems, but if we know how to use, right, say, when you get a problematic text, right, and we can get our students to correct it. Right? That is one way of getting students to critically analyze language. Right? It is not, I don't mean that you should use it as it is and mislead the students. Right? That is one thing. And this pronunciation issue, of course, we all don't speak the way Americans speak or the British speak. We have our own way, right? You have your Indian way of speaking English and I have my Sri Lankan way of speaking English. And we are proud of it. And we make ourselves comprehensible anywhere in the world. I've been to many countries where they have different ways of pronouncing English and they understand me. Right? They understand my talks. At least they pretend to be. But there is one thing. That is, we should be able to understand what they speak as well. Right? I don't say that we should train our students to be like Americans, but understanding the American is very important. Yes. Right? That's very important. International English. When David Gradle wrote the book English Next India, he acknowledged that it's going to be, with the population, it's going to be the variety that will govern English in time to come. But we can't deny the fact that there are people who speak English in other ways. They have their own pronunciation. So using those to analyze their pronunciation and to understand what they speak, I think is very good. And again, while speaking our way, right, it's better to understand international English and the way how these native speakers pronounce it, and to surprise them a little as well. Right? So, I don't say we have to train our students to become, we call it Suddhas back in Sri Lanka. White people, we call it Suddhas. We don't want to do that. Right? But understanding is very important. That will help you secure your position in the international market. Hope I have given you satisfactory answers, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I'm Sujata.
I've been listening to you about using AI in teaching. Students are already using AI in learning. But when they are already using a chat GPT, like what you said right now, we should ask them to critically analyze. Shouldn't we also change the testing pattern? Have you people started at that in Sri Lanka? Because we are still testing in at least the end semester or the summative thing, we are doing the old-fashioned testing. So have you started using AI in testing also? I would like to know that.
We have just started training our teachers because a group of people from my institute, we received training very recently, and prior to that we started changing our assessment modalities. Of course, now according to the new curriculum changes in the country, that we give priority to classroom-based qualitative assessment, that is formative assessment. We use the term qualitative assessment. 70% and only 30% is given to summative assessment, because now see, when we think of the learning competency framework, subject knowledge or theoretical knowledge is only one. Right, back in Sri Lanka, we have identified 12 items in our national learning competency framework. So that is only one. To capture the rest, like being able to communicate and my favorite term, networking. Right? So for that, of course, you can't test those skills with your summative assessment. So we have given 30% of weightage to that, and the rest is there. So for that, of course, we will have to integrate AI, especially to understand the students at risk. So we are working on that. Thank you.
Sir, my name is Veena Selvam. One is an observation that you said if you do your research, integrate AI into your research, AI will give you, a list to read and things like that. I remember my own research days when I would go from library to library, dust down books which have not been touched for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and I discovered the joy of serendipity. Now, AI is not going to give me that joy. When I become a researcher supported by AI, I'm just an armchair researcher. I'm no longer a researcher. We are not searching anymore. It is only search engine researcher. That is an observation that I personally feel takes away the joy of research. But that is only an opinion. The larger observation is that we have accepted a tool which the white man has produced, and we are simply using it as users, which is why the training data that the AI researchers from the West have used to train AI for its perspectives of poverty, of tragedy, unhappiness, sadness, of all the poor things, of all those things, of war, of terrorism. Those are all based on the third world countries. We have not developed an AI using our training data, and that is where I think we should focus. Instead of simply accepting the tool that he has developed, the white man has developed. In fact, my paper in the afternoon is going to talk about decolonization. So I'm going to refer to you extensively, sir, in my presentation. But this is just an observation and an opinion, a difference of opinion. I think we should not accept the tool that the white man has developed as a user alone. He is a producer and we are a user. He is a developer and we are just users. I think we should focus on developing our own AI tools, using our own training data to develop those AI tools. I think we should speak about using our own tools, developing our own tools, instead of simply being an end user. Just a difference of opinion. I'm sorry if...
No, that's a fantastic observation, And my response to that observation is, can I quote from Midsummer Night's Dream? What happened when the remark made by Caliban, thou gavest me thy language with which I can curse thee. That is my simple response to your observation. Sorry, not Midsummer Night's Dream, the Tempest. Sorry, extremely sorry. The Tempest. Right? You gave me your language. With that language I can curse you. So they have given us AI. With that we have to revert back. Right? So rather than, because if we start dividing this is white man's tool and this is Asian tool, right? We are not going to challenge them, right? We have to give them as much training data as possible from this part of the world, right? From underprivileged countries, from our culture, from our literature. We have to give as much data as possible. Then only AI will start training himself on that, and that is the only way to handle this issue of biasness, right? The bias is there. I accept what you told me, right? But now it is no longer the property of the white man. English is not the property of the white man. It is the property of those who speak that language, right? It's the property of those who, that's why David Gradle wrote English Next India. When the book was launched, I was in India, and David Gradle came to our university, EFLU, right, to talk about that book. We were very happy. And so that's what we need to do. We need to change the way AI gets its training data from this part of the world as well. So that is our collective responsibility. Thank you for that observation, because you gave me an opportunity to talk about, giving data from our part of the world.
We'll only take one more question as we are nearing to the end of the allotted time.
Good morning, Dr. Darshana. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. My name is Nachiketas. So I'm thinking about, Everett Rogers, who talked about the diffusion of innovations, right? We have an innovative tool here, AI. So when we compare this with the others, such as the tele, the radio, and so on, the diffusion has been fastest. But because I come from marketing, I try to tend to think of the audience as different segments. So you have the student segment who are more natural in terms of the pace at which they pick up new tools. I think it is the enablers, which is like the teachers, who need a bit of nudging, right? So for example, I still feel, while you nicely pointed out how AI can help research, but still some of us think it is taboo to even touch or open ChatGPT in the open. We do it secretly in our closed cabins. So how do you overcome this? How do you nudge people to not miss out on this race? Because it is so fast, right? So accelerated that as teachers, if we don't recognize it soon enough, I think we might be left behind. Going back to George Pickering, right? You might lose the race to the person who has learned to pick up the tool. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's a very valid point. When it comes to any concept, for example, technology, the way we accept it, according to the way we accept it, and according to the way we are presented to technology, the world is divided into two. A, migrants. B, natives. Many of us, we are migrants to this new technology. So there are hiccups, right? There are issues in acceptance. But the truth is, the next generation is going to be natives. The next generation is going to be natives of AI. They will be born to a world where AI is the reality, right? For example, the mobile phone, right? Now we have seen the transformation of the mobile phone from the telephone communication, from the very ancient type of the rotary phone to the big, like a brick, this brick size mobile phone. Again, it is very compact, and then again, with a screen. One day, a friend of mine went to buy a mobile phone with me, and he asked, "What can I do with this?" I told him, "You can do anything plus making telephone calls." Right? See, we migrants sometimes find it difficult to handle it, the technology, and mother would ask.
I'm sorry, we need to abruptly stop the QA sessions, and I'm glad that you have several thought-provoking queries, I'm told. But then the questions can be carried forward during tea time, and then maybe in the late evening we will look for a networking session, probably tomorrow or sometime. And so please reserve your questions, or I'm sure Professor Samaravira is open to address them on email as well. All right. So now I take this opportunity to profusely thank today's speaker, Professor Samaravira, for that highly stimulating and reflective talk delivered. You indeed focused on several facets of artificial intelligence from a new perspective, from a different dimension. Of course, we have been well acquainted with the use of AI in our day-to-day times, classrooms post-COVID, during COVID, but then this is quite a reflective thought that you have shared with, and you began well with the gripping anecdote which led to the theme, and it was a smooth transition filled with sense of humor. So once again, on behalf of the organizing committee of PAN NIT HSSRC, I thank you for sharing your valuable thoughts. So look forward to collaborate with you. So thank you very much. Now we conclude the keynote, and as per the schedule, we are now due for a short address by the publisher. Okay, I now take this opportunity to invite, we have with us editorial member from IUP, Dr. Swati Mulinti, who is editor-in-chief of IUP Journal. So I request Dr. Swati to come on to the dais. Thank you, Ms. Swati, for joining us during the inaugural day one of the PAN NIT HSSRC. So as all the participants are pretty aware of the upcoming editions, that the process which would take place post conduct of the conference, of the publication of select papers. So in that direction, Dr. Swati would like to share some of her experiences related to the journal publication. So before that, I invite Ms. Isha, research scholar, to present a brief biodata of Dr. Swati.
So we have today with us Dr. Swati Mulinti, who is the representative for and the editor-in-chief of IUP Journal of English Studies. Dr. Swati Mulinti is an assistant professor in the Department of English at ICFAI Tech, Dean Tooby University, where she has been since 2019. She received her doctoral degree from English and Foreign Language University in 2017. We are pleased to have you here, ma'am, and would like to welcome you to address the gathering. Ma'am, please.
afternoon, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here today and address, such an amazing set of researchers, academicians, and, all the students, if there are any in the gathering. So I'll not discuss much or present much. It actually feels a little blasphemous today for me without using a PPT and then talking to an audience. But still, I've dared enough to do that for today. And I'll only give you a brief glimpse of the world of research and how it has changed over the period of certain years and then currently where it's running into. And then I'd like to open the floor for discussion so that, we can use this opportunity where I can help you understand a few things about publications. So let me start with the research. So we all have idea about what research is. We today define it in so beautiful ways and so many perspectives we have about it. But let's start with the original definition of research. Why do we even have the inclination to research something? The basic intention is the same, to find out answers, to understand perspectives, to gain insights about anything, any field. It need not always be one particular field. So that's where research started. And with our curious minds, we started reading and we started understanding the world, and then, the beautiful world of research emerged. And in order to keep a track of all these things which are happening across the world, people started recording these research innovations. That's where the publication started. So, a neat record of, okay, somewhere someone found out something and then, okay, let's keep a track of it. And then came the publications. So in order to have a standard throughout across subjects and across content and across continents, there are certain rules which were figured out. Okay, probably this is how we can, present the ideas and put forward different perspectives so that everyone who's related or remotely related to that field can understand what is happening. So that's where it has emerged into. And today we have sort of rules and guidelines and, a rigorous set of pointers to be kept in mind when we write a research paper. All right. So far, so good, and everything seems to be perfect. And then people, have started researching, they've started reading, and yeah, this all seems to be fine and fair. But then what happened was, the original idea of researching, the original idea of being curious about something, and the original intent of finding solutions or finding new things has somewhere in entire this process has lost its way. I'm sorry to say this, but I think that's what will be my perspective of research for today's generation. The original intention of research, the so-called, finding things out and then finding out perspectives, today, I think in this mulch of a lot of things, has lost its original definition. I'm sorry to say this, but as an editor-in-chief, I would like to point out, we receive hundreds and hundreds of papers every day. And then out of the 100, I find joy in reading only a few papers. The rest all, but somewhere I'd like to have fresh ideas being generated and talked about, and then bringing out more perspectives, which is more easier these days if you actually look at it. We are talking about interdisciplinariness these days, connecting language to various other fields. And then we have this beautiful thing, AI and language. So, that interconnectedness is one of the areas that could be heavily researched on because, it's newly emerging trend, which, you can talk about. But then I'd request, if we can go back to the original way of researching things and then taking time out from our lives to, intentionally do it, consciously work towards something so that, the joy of finding things, let's do it in that way. The results that will happen eventually at the end, but then I would appreciate if we can again go back to those good old ways which Veena ma'am was also mentioning, the joy of taking a book out, reading, analyzing things, and then, figuring out something for the first time, and then, finding joy in such things and then writing about it. Now, when you find these emotions while doing research, I think that itself is a half battle won. The paper will come out easily after that. All right. So this is what I wanted to talk about research. Like I said, I am already not using PPT, so most of you might be, thinking, okay, where next? Where is this going? But I'm going to stop my perspective of research here, and then I'd like to open the floor for you guys to, share your ideas and thoughts. And if you have any queries and questions, I'm all ears. We will have a discussion and learn more about publications.
How is your journey to publication?
As an editor-in-chief or as a researcher, can I?
Both. Because I also worked in publishing industry for a year, and then I shifted to teaching and then research.
Okay, that's great. So let me start with the researcher. So as a researcher, it was in the same old ideology of, okay, this seems to be very interesting. Let me dive deep into this subject and then see what can be done about it and where is it, if there is anything missing. So that's my journey started, and I've done research on differentiated instruction. A few of you might know about it. So the theory basically says that students learn in different ways. They have their own ways of understanding a language. And how can a teacher cater to these different needs in a single classroom? So this was my research basically, and what I tried to do specifically was India as it is a cultural hub. In a classroom, we will find n number of students coming from various cultural backgrounds, languages. It's not like how it happens in US, where the theory had emerged basically. Tomlinson was the person who worked on differentiated instruction, but I was curious as to how does that function in an Indian context. Can we use at least a few aspects of this theory in our classrooms and see where we can take it? So I've picked out my favorite sub-skill, which is writing, and then, did work on that, and we figured out a few things in the research. So that was a beautiful journey, figuring out things, seeing if there are certain aspects which can be worked out and all that. Now coming back to me on the other side of the table, where I am reading papers and then trying to judge a paper based on its so-called credibility, validity, and all that. How do I say it? It's a daunting process, definitely. I will not say, it's not. But one thing that I appreciate the most is I get to read a lot of papers from across the world, which is very, very interesting. Like it's basically you're reading, you're talking with the author and trying to reason out why this person is saying this particular thing and how is he or she backing up that idea. So that's an interesting conversations that I have with hundreds of authors every day, which is very, very intriguing for me. So I love that part of the job. And the worst part, I would say, is when I have to reject a paper and then have to, finally let go and say goodbye to a paper. I hate that the most. So this is the journey so far, and I'm still continuing with this dialogues and conversations with the authors. I hope to continue and then read as many minds as I can. Yes.
Okay. My question is related to your job as an editor.
All right.
Like everyone has been discussing since morning,
Yes.
AI is, being used in a big way in writing papers and writing. Dr. Samaravira pointed out how in medical humanities there was a paper which half of it was AI produced. And I was shocked. The first question was, how did the journal publish this? So how do you, as an editor, how does your journal actually tackle this problem? Do you have any tools to find out this is AI-generated text, this is plagiarism checkers, we know.
Yeah.
We also know some basic tools which will tell you that this is AI-generated or not. But by and large, how do you tackle this?
Yeah, one thing that is, we do definitely use, a software, which I might be sounding a little harsh, but then, yeah. But yes, there are still discussions and debates. And another thing, what I do when I am reading a paper is there definitely will be a change in the tone and the usage of vocabulary, and there will be a shift of the way of writing if someone is using. If an entire paper is taken or written using an AI, that's a different thing. But if two people are doing it, I'm considering AI as a person for the second. So if that is done, then as a reader, I would easily be able to assess the tone changes. If you observe, the way human writes and argue for a certain point and the way ChatGPT or any other tool does, there is a definite variation in the usage of first the vocabulary and next the mechanicalness that it uses to argue for or against something. So it's visible because I've been reading for quite some time. I think I was able to get that. Yeah. Okay. The writing. Okay. Okay. Yeah. When we talk about the amount of percentage used, then I think that's showing. But I think we still have yeah. I got that. But I think we will be able to assess. Like if we are good enough to identify those small little nuances that a human uses and also a ChatGPT or any other tool uses, we will be able to identify. And it's built. Now that's a skill that I'll also have to develop on the long run. Yes, ma'am, but I also have to say that, that's one thing that I get to hear, like we are being very rigorous about acceptance. Yes. Yes. Yeah. After the issue. Yeah. It's a thing that, when the first issue of the IUP comes out, which is in the month of April, once the issue is out for the public, then the scopus gets renewed. And that's the only reason why it doesn't. Yeah. That's great. Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Ma'am, as a first-time researcher,
Yes.
do you have any tips to write papers that will be selected?
Okay, that's a very big question, but the number of words you have used is very less. I'm happy for that. She condensed it really beautifully. So, I say that you have a good start there. So I cannot randomly give any suggestions as tips, but I would ask you to actually ask yourselves how much percentage will you give your research? Like how interested are you in actually digging deep into the field and then knowing about things? So you just don't have to answer right now, but then that actually shows. The acceptance comes where the heart lies. I think I'm being a little poetic here, but yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hello.
This is Satish from Christ University, Bangalore. So, putting it very straightforward, very crisp, just two questions I have. The first one I really wanted to ask somebody from publishing industry since long. So, first one, when we go to any of the journals, download the papers, and when we start reading, as very freshers in state of writing, most of us have felt that the writing style is kind of very, at the very peak level it is, the academic style of writing.
Yes.
And how do we cope? That's the kind of doubt that we had, having our kind of proficiency in the language. Yeah. And then when we talk about the same thing to our professors, what they would suggest is it's always about writing it in very simple form. Write it very simple way, write it in very, the simplicity matters, and it has to be very direct, and what you're trying to explain, it has to be very straightforward. So keep it very simple. But then again, there are some friends who suggest write it very simple, then put it in the AI ChatGPT with a command that rewrite this with very professional way, academic way. So it writes again. So as a publisher, as an editor, what is your take on this? Which one would you prefer? And second question is, somebody has already said that there are so many tools. So I have an Instagram friend. He has like around 1 or 2K followers. So what he does every day, he kind of interacts with his followers. He answers all of their questions regarding AI tools. So how we can use that for literature review separately, writing, editing, and all of that. So very recently, I kind of observed his content, and he started like saying there are AI tools to humanize the writing, and there are again tools that will identify the humanized content. So there are so many things. And then again, the latest reel, I think 2 days before, he has posted saying, you cannot rely on these tools. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think the second question answered itself. From your question, there was answer.
From the industry, do you have any specific authentic or authorized kind of a tool that you use, if we may know?
I definitely, I haven't used so far. I am not planning to use. But then coming back to your first question, that's a good one. So this is what, initial researchers, novice researchers have, like, the language. I have an idea, but then how do I say it so beautifully that, the world gets impressed? So this is what I see is another change in the researchers. They focus more on, fancier ways of putting a mundane thing. That's another trend in research. The idea is not so great. It's a mediocre idea, to be honest. But then the way they write about it, it's so beautiful that you can't reject the idea. So this is another slightly on a slower rise, I would say. But then this is still there. But for any good publishing house, the idea, that is what matters, and the way you argue for it, because argumentation is what is important in any research, the way you put across the idea and how strong that idea is, that itself will take it further. The language will come automatically, and like your professor says, keep it simple, that is enough. But on the long run, when you try and practice and then write, that is a skill that can be picked up. But getting an idea and working on it is not something that you can pick up and then do. It has to be, inculcate. It should be intuitive. Yeah. So hopefully I've answered your question. So don't stress yourselves out so much on getting the language right. Focus on getting the idea right.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is more kind of a strategy question where you try to position IUP against the giants, right? While I applaud, IUP is one of the pioneers in terms of eliciting, researchers to publish with you. But what is your proposition? For example, your value proposition, when you compare and contrast yourself with the Wileys and the Taylor and Francis and the Elsevier's of the world, right? One cannot overlook the fact that yes, our increments are indeed tied to where we publish, right? Even if you manage 1 or 2, we certainly clamor for
the names,
of course, right? So I think there is a wonderful scope for IUP because you have a pioneering advantage. You've done some publishing work, but still, what is that value proposition? So you can encourage more of Atmanirbhar kind of publishing, and essentially, how do you compete with the giants?
As a publishing house, we started with a different ideology altogether. It was like 20 years back. I don't think I was very much active in this field. It was an idea by Mr. Yanjay Yasaswi and then GRK Murthy. They had an idea when they started this IUP publishing house, and they are still carrying it. We don't have Yasaswi around us with us, but then Mr. GRK Murthy is around us, and then he runs with his ideals. So the publishing house, when you compare it with the other, Taylor and Francis and Elsevier's and all that, I'm not saying they don't have ideals. They do not have a similar set of ideals that IUP has started with. And Sir very adamantly says that we are going by this. That's it. There ends the discussion. And then, so there are such beautiful ideals, you even cannot say no to it. The idea is, the same thing. the research, the basic definition of research. If a paper which is, we have this discussions, and one of the things that Sir says is, it's not how big the paper is, even if it is a 3-page document, but there is an idea which is being put forward by an author and it's substantially, backed up by good logic and reason, we'll go ahead and then publish it. I don't think that is done by either Elsevier or Taylor and Francis. I have nothing against those. Those are really, really good publishers. They have their set of ideas that they follow, and then we have our own. So we heavily rely on, this kind of research. And yes, we have the scope to take it further and then take it forward and up by making it open access. We are not open access right now. Again, Sir was very against that idea. It's not about us making us known to the larger audience or public. We focus on getting the research out. So yeah. Hope.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just want to know your opinion on literature review, because very often I think that literature review controls the direction of our research and it kills the original spirit of being innovative. So what, because we have to fix ourselves on the premise of the literature review. So what do you think about literature review?
Okay. So literature review is one such part of research. I think that's the most important part, where you are taking a stance on a particular thing as a writer, and then you are telling the audience as to why do you have this stance. You're arguing for it. And when you argue, let's say, for example, I'm using a very basic one. I make a statement, I am as intelligent, not as intelligent, I am as intelligent as Einstein. Now, I can see that most of you will be internally laughing just to, avoid embarrassment. You're not laughing at my face. So literature review is something where I actually logically and then, with a credible manner, I'm going to prove that, yes, I am as intelligent as Albert Einstein. Now, when we do that, it makes a credible argument for the reader. Hence, literature review is very important. We don't have to be very diplomatic about it. As it is, it's an argument. So be very open and out and loud about it. However little research you might find on your side, there is always a beautiful tool called logic. Use it as much as you can to make your point visible to the reader. And then that is one aspect of literature review. Another aspect is where we try and then tell the audience, see, this is what happened so far in the field, and this was not worked on. There is a research gap. Hence, there comes my study where I'm looking at that particular aspect of that field or area. So depending on the objective of your literature, I think you can play around beautifully in that particular aspect of a paper.
Thank you for all the questions, but
thank you, Dr. Swati. I listened interaction with a lot of questions and you also give answer. So I'm just to give my observation about acceptance rate, because when you talk about idea of from any manuscript, suppose idea is incomplete. So I'm just asking about your opinion about, suppose idea is incomplete from one author. So what is your next step? Will you easily reject, or will you ask them to resubmit, or what is another process? And another observation, and because see, somebody submits manuscript from one journal that is rejected. Suppose it rejects and they submit another journal. So there may be chance of acceptance also. So therefore, in the process of rejection, so somewhere selection lies here. So most people think, okay, continuously they submit continuously one journal to another journal without modifying. So one or another days after some 6 months or 1 year, they get published. So then they don't want to change idea. Though it may be incomplete idea I'm talking about. So it gets published. So now what is your suggestion? Suppose somebody has incomplete idea.
Okay. I can see there are two parts in your question. The first one is, what do I do if I find a paper where there is an incomplete idea? Or what does the publishing house do? One thing that there is something called as send it back for review option for me. I use it when I think that there is a credible idea and thought, but then the language is not so good. See, that is something that a person can work on in a smaller time and then make some modification in terms of accuracy and fluency aspects. Now that is a paper which is has a really good argument in it, and then you cannot deny it. That paper with a little bit of language editing can be published, then that goes for review. Send it back for the author to review, and then we also tell them, see, these are certain things that you could possibly make changes, and then send it back to us. So that's one thing that I do. But if the idea itself is incomplete, then we do not push it forward. I'll tell you why we don't do it. It's like, there is a person who's trying to tell me something, and the person is not sure what it is. Now, I can't pick the person's brain and then give the ideas. So, see, this is how you can possibly do or work around it. No, that's not my job to give ideas or mold the ideas of a researcher or an author. So I don't do such things. If the idea is half, if the idea is incomplete, then we outrightly reject. I'm sorry again, but yes. But if it has something that can be changed within a shorter period of time, especially with the usage of language, we are a little lenient towards the language and all. So it definitely goes back for reviewing. And the other part of your question where a journal rejects the paper, but then you keep sending it to the other journals, and then, hoping that one day you're going to hit bullseye. That would be, I don't know how to answer that. There's no definite answer. Oh, they have published it. Then probably it's better if we ask Taylor and Francis as to why they have accepted and why the other journal has rejected. Okay, got it. But ideally, it's ideal. It's always, see, we run around having the... They give suggestions for reviewing it. Okay. Oh. So I think there itself you found the answer then. So here at IUP, I wouldn't encourage, giving ideas to the authors. If that is the case, then every paper that I'll have to sit and write myself, at least to an extent. It becomes like that, a tedious work. But yeah, if the idea is not so intelligible, or it's not something which can be argued in a strong way, then we reject it. Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am. I think there are a lot of questions, but we'll have to close the question hour because it's almost time.
Yes.
Thank you, Swati ma'am. Actually, there is a history. We were trying to connect many journals, and we connected 3, out of which 2 couldn't come. Literary Voice and one more journal is there, Rupkatha. But you were kind enough to join us in person, and thank you for the insightful discussions. But people, the sir, Doraiswamy sir, we had also same, actually not a complaint, but your acceptance rate and the process of review should be little faster, because at the end of the day, scholars and even academic people, they would want to see their publications somehow. So we accept your constraints. You have a very strict review process, but I'm sure from our Pan-NIT conference, most of the papers will be crossing your review process. That's what we made it sure. And as Madam said, research should be done to answer many things. So I feel people will definitely improve. We have given 1 month time after the conference. So they would definitely submit. With the support of our head of the department, Madhavi ma'am, we could reach out, and we once again thank you for accepting our collaboration request. With other two, definitely we will submit few to you also, like 30 to 35 shortlisted papers. And now I would request Madhavi ma'am to felicitate Dr. Swati with as a token of love. Thank you so much.
Now we'll break for lunch. The lunch is being served just outside the seminar hall complex, and we'll be back by 2 o'clock to start with our next session. Thank you.
Parallel tracks would commence post-lunch from 2 to 3:30. So they would happen in 3 different halls. One session would happen in Bose Hall and the other 2 on the first floor, Raman Hall and Ramanujan Hall. So please take a closer look at the schedule that's been provided to you, and then accordingly you disperse into the halls. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you sharp at 2 o'clock.